But I got shot for a politician, someone running for office on the same night I started coming down with on Tuesday. And they, of course, want the images to be pristine, you know, so I'm shooting in a dark environment. But, I mean, the way I balance my light, I balance with the ambient light, so there's tungsten light, you know, throughout the room, but it's real low. So I got to shoot a high ISO, excuse me, which means there's a little more noise, a little grainy. But so I throw a little bit of noise reduction and boost the shadows a little bit there. And that's really all I have to do for most of my stuff. But no, I'm a huge Lightroom user, and I shoot primarily Sony right now. I used to shoot Canon. So with my Sonys, the dynamic range in there, it comes out of the camera looking just the way I want it. But with my Canons, there's a hack called Magic Lantern that adds video and still photography features to the camera. It's not sanctioned by Canon, but like everybody who's doing video, you know, that you can shoot raw video with Canon using this Magic Lantern. There's a lot of cool stuff, but I'm only using it with my 7D to do what's called dual ISO. So I can shoot like ISO 400 and 3200 at the same time in the same image.
Really?
And then it interpolates it into one raw file, which gives you incredibly expanded dynamic range. So it's almost like doing HDR in one photo, where you don't have to, you know, merge down several photos. Like it's actually a pretty cool feature.
That's cool.
Yeah, and so Lightroom has a plug-in. Well, they've developed a plug-in for Lightroom, so as I'm importing it, I can create the converted DNG file right there in Lightroom.
In a quarter mile, merge onto US 41 North South Lakeshore Drive.
So I take it you do digital imaging and something as well.
Imaging, yeah. Well, not photography. I'm a graphic artist. I do illustrations and whatnot.
Okay.
And I had to poke my nose in the Lightroom for a few clients.
Okay.
And
are you a Creative Cloud user?
I used to be. I used to be. Now it's just I just give it hand delivered. Hand delivered to people.
No, I mean as far as the software package.
Oh no. I don't subscribe. If I can't get the software flat out, then I don't want it.
Okay.
So I'm lucky that Adobe still offers, you know, their Photoshop, their Illustrator, direct buy. But most of the other digital art suites, they want to go Creative Cloud with a subscription base, and I don't make that.
Well, that's what I do. So I mean, when I have enough clients to where it's definitely worth it. You know, I have access to the entire Creative Cloud suite: Illustrator, Dreamweaver, Photoshop, Premiere Pro for video.
Right. I guess I'm old school. That if I'm in a position where I don't have access to the net, then I can't install. I understand about not being able to have updates and whatnot, but if I can't install just the base package, then I just have a problem with it. I'll get over it one of these days.
I mean, I get it. It's a lot of, that's how I was for the first couple years of the Creative Cloud. I was still relying on the old versions of Photoshop and Premiere Pro. And I was like, oh man, this is a waste of money. They just trying to get you, trying to profit. I'm not gonna do it. But then when I started seeing all the updates, especially with video, those updates I shoot, then color correct them the way I want to before delivering. And then because a lot of the guys that I work with are great editors, but they're not really good with color. And they don't want to listen to me. So when they see my color, then they're like, okay, well, yeah, why don't you go ahead and hook this up? So a lot of times what I'll do is make sure we're all shooting the same method, either S-Log or where the format is pretty similar and the contrast color is pretty similar.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I'm finished with my color correcting, I just export a preset and say, hey, use this on these scenes and this on these scenes. But because we all have the same software, it literally is just seconds to install, and then life is good.
That's cool.
So what kind of graphic design work do you do? Like what arena, what area?
Mostly comic art.
Oh,
Yeah, do illustrations for people who have ideas for comics, so I draw their comics for them. I used to be into like web design, but with apps blowing up the way that they have, unless you have a larger company or like a more centralized company, people really don't go to websites.
Right.
Use apps for whatever. And most of the time, smaller companies advertise on Facebook and Twitter anyway. Unless like they're international, then they'll have like a website or something like that. So I got out of web development and going into app development. But for now, I'm just but I'm a cartoon artist, mostly American-ish. There's like a huge push for Japanese manga style right now.
I'm about to ask if you were doing that.
Yeah. I have been, but I flock more towards really good American dynamic comic art.
I used to in high school and college. I was just a Renaissance man to begin with. But I used to paint, draw, like every day. Made myself do it every day. Doing comics, doing short animations. I think I still have a couple of boxes of cells from when we were doing animations by hand. And then I started doing animation on my Mac. But then the music, I produced music for several years. I DJ'd for over 25 years and produced music for about 20. And that took over all of my creative time. I did music for the Oprah Winfrey Show for 3.5 years. Did dance music remixes. So I was heavy into the music, and I stopped drawing, which sometimes I regret. That when I used to love creating my own comics, my own comic figures, and when I started getting into Japanimation, mainly from the animated movie from years ago called Akira.
Oh yeah,
that was
one of the classics.
Yeah, that and Fist of the North Star. Those were the ones that really got me into Japanimation and drawing that style. I don't even do music anymore. Now it's strictly visual arts.
I've been neglecting my artistic side for years, and I just went to get a job, just so I could make ends meet. And the more I dug into, the job, the more that the artistic side just waned.
That's usually what happens.
Yeah. So I had to make a decision. I was I have a friend who's a very prolific artist. Are you gonna do it or not? There you go. He goes to a lot of conventions and whatnot around the United States and whatnot, and we talk about the artistic industry, the community. And it boiled down to, if you're working a job, you're going to have to pay your bills, period. Bills are Nothing certain but death and taxes, right? So you're going to have to take care of your responsibilities. So if you're going to be miserable working a job where you have to pay your bills, you might as well work a job that you like doing and pay your bills.
you know, it's best. It makes it a little easier.
A little easier, yeah. Work is work. You know, work is work. But if you enjoy what you're doing, then it doesn't feel like work all the time.
Right.
So I had to just cut raw numbers and cut my ties with my company. I left them 2 weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I left them 2 weeks ago. The environment was just bad. And,
I've had several jobs. The environment was so toxic.
Yeah, just heinous. Just heinous. And the pay was equal to driving Lyft. You know, for all the expenses that I had to come out with and taxes taken out, same as driving Lyft. So I figured I might as well be my own boss than be someone else and be miserable. So this affords me the time now to get back into my art.
So now that you've been doing this, have you gotten back into your art?
Yes.
That's
Yes.
I know a lot of times we'll say, okay, well, I'm doing this so I can get back to it.
Right, and then you never get back into it. And then this becomes your new job. You know? No.
Distraction.
Right. No, this is I don't do this all day. I do this for a few hours, then I go back and create.
Okay.
And come back out here during rush hour, and I'm done. So I'm looking now into game/app development, along with doing graphic design, doing artwork for that a project with that. It's not hard at all if you have like a technical background or an aptitude to learn.
Right.
It's not hard to get into game development at all. Just it's literally learning a new language.
And how old are you, if I may ask?
41.
Okay, I got you by a few years. But this said, so I actually started programming games when I was 13. Programming on Atari 800 and Commodore.
I had a Commodore 64. Yeah, I had that programming in BASIC. Yep.
The 1040 ST, which is when I really started getting into music. I had a built-in MIDI port. But yeah, I understand what you mean with the program of games. Like when you start to understand, when you understand basic programming, you get a game engine, like the Unreal Engine. It actually is kind of easy to create an environment for a game, but you just have to have very creative characters where your stuff isn't looking like everybody else's.
Well, you know what? Now in the are you a gamer at all?
Yep.
Okay.
I don't. In the last 3 years, I haven't played games at all because I've been working with 3 jobs.
Right.
But I still love them. But no, I have an Xbox 3 and an Xbox One that have just been sitting because all I do is work.
Right.
But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. Right now, in like the gaming community, the gaming atmosphere, that a game has to be attractive or compelling visually, but it doesn't have to be on the scope of something like Street Fighter.
Right.
It has to be on the scope of Mortal Kombat. It doesn't have to have that high graphic fidelity or even artistry. As long as you are conveying a good point or have a good story or it has good gameplay, then people will play it if it's compelling enough. Not to say that you can skip on the artwork, because there are many games that I just glance over because it looks like shit.
Right. That was my point.
Yeah. No. It has to have good artistry, but it doesn't have to have like the AAA artistic background or resources that most bigger games have. So there's like a medium point of entry for game developing right now, especially with, like you said, with like the